Syria is at a crossroads this week because the U.S.-backed Syrian Democratic Forces, an army of around 70 to 100,000 men that defeated ISIS back in 2019, have agreed to preliminary talks basically to integrate with the Damascus-backed security forces of the transitional government. And this would basically bring together the two parts of Syria and, in many ways represent the end of a long process that began with the Syrian civil war and revolution that began back in 2011. The reason there's a crossroads is because these two groups don't necessarily get along. The SDF in eastern Syria and Hayat Tahrir al-Sham that came to power on December 8th, 2024, replacing the Assad regime, they come from different ends of the political spectrum and they represent in many ways different groups. The SDF is mostly Kurdish officered. Hayat Tahrir al-Sham was a lot of mostly Arabs and some Turkmen fighters. And, HTS was supported in some ways a bit by Turkey, and the Syrian transitional government is backed by Turkey in many ways, whereas the SDF has been backed by the United States. So, these are two big groups. The idea that they're coming together to integrate and unify or merge is very important. And the comments we've heard from the SDF commander, Mazloum Abdi, is that the SDF 100,000 or 70,000 fighters or so will join as a large group, and they will then be split into several different divisions and some independent brigades, that would incorporate the fact they have unique units such as women units and different minorities and things like that. So this is a big moment, for Syria. The question is whether the integration will happen, peaceably, how it will happen, whether or not it will involve some small units as test cases, or trying to drag over whole 10,000 or 70,000 men into a whole new model army is obviously going to be a very complicated task. And it's going to require the support of the international community, the United States, Turkey, and other types. So that is a big question mark for the region. And Syria is a country that obviously sits astride the region. It is, south of Turkey. It borders Israel, Lebanon, Jordan, Iraq. So it is a key, important country, this kind of huge triangle that it represents. So having these groups come together is very important. And we're going to see whether or not those preliminary talks that we've heard about, this week between October 13th and 17th will come to fruition.